Hey everyone, how y'all doing tonight? Have a special treat tonight to me. Tonight I have Dr. Grayson and I have my very own my uncle slash brother on here. I think this is his first time doing something like this, StreamYard. So what we should call you tonight, Uncle? We going by, hey, why are we going by with your name is? What you want to go by tonight?
I got it up there haywire.
All right. Oh, your sound. What's going on with your sound? It was good a few minutes ago.
Let me see. Can you hear me now?
Oh, it sounds bad. Dr. Grayson, you hear the same thing?
He sounded okay to me.
Oh, this must be me then. But do I sound good to y'all? I'm okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, StreamYard don't want us to talk about this topic tonight, apparently. They starting to mess with my sound.
Everybody, man. Salty white tears everywhere.
Yes, indeed, because they messing with my sound. Y'all coming through sounding funny and everything. But it's all good, though. We'll get to it tonight. So, the PWIs, they are mad at Deion Sanders. So I just want to before we jump into it, I just want, if y'all watching tonight, please keep in mind to subscribe to the YouTube channel Black Empowerment Movement. Please go to that platform. If you're watching on Facebook, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe, share, like the videos. We're trying to grow the platform, grow people to keep the watching great content we putting on the YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and jump into this tonight. I'm gonna start off with you, Dr. Grayson. What do you feel about you? Have you been seeing all the white tears regarding Deion Sanders landing this big recruit from Georgia, the #1 high school football player in the nation? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure is he #1 or #2, but regardless, you have to see the enormous impact that this is. It's not just about a player going somewhere different. This is about an entire system being challenged. We've talked about the critical race theory, the systems that oppress us, the NCAA feeding into the NFL. Colin Kaepernick told you the NFL was a plantation, and the NCAA, these Big Ten schools, were feeding into that plantation. By this student choosing to follow a Black coach to a historically Black college or university speaks volumes of change. It speaks a shift of power, and that's where the tears are truly stemming from. They've been controlling the commodity, our Black bodies, for their enjoyment for years. And now someone has come in and challenged at best, derailed at worst, their process. So it's just not about, simply him being able to get a player. They're scared that this system is going to tumble. They're going to lose the control, and it ultimately will cost them money. That's the issue with what has happened today. I am thrilled. I am loving it. We needed this to happen.
Uncle, what you have to say?
Well, I very well said, Doctor. It was time. It was time. So at this point, this put them at a place they had never been before. You have Deion Sanders, he'll come out the NFL, and this player choose to go. He wasn't thinking about his chances of getting in the NFL. He was just thinking about who he wanted to play football for. He wanted to play for a Black coach. He would have played for Deion no matter where Deion went to. Good thing Deion was at Jackson State. Good thing Deion got him. It's time. It's time for us to stop putting ourselves first and looking at the bigger picture, and that's what that player did by making that move. And it was a move that, like she said, they don't know where this is going to put other Black players.
Yeah,
So
they feel like, and it makes it so bad. You in high school, you have the top 300 high school players. They they are like, you would think like 50 of these top 300 went to Jackson State. It was only one player, and you having the PWIs in an uproar. It's making national news. If this guy would have went to Florida State like he originally committed to, you would never heard about this guy going to Florida State. You know, it would have just been another good black athlete going to one of your top football schools. We never heard of nothing about it.
And what you don't realize is a lot of times our athletes go to those schools and they never even see the field the 4 years.
Exactly. We know
and so you got to look at this. Think back to when our ancestors were enslaved. If one of our ancestors bucked the system, what happened? You got a foot cut off. They made an example of you so no one else got any ideas. Their attempt is to make an example of Deion so nobody else will get no ideas. So they're slandering his character, dragging his name, making accusations. But at the end of the day, that player had verbally committed to Florida State, but he signed with Jackson. It is what it is.
And you have to realize the recruitment process. And I'll use the school, Alabama, as an example. When Nick Saban was there recruiting, they wove them kids. I mean, they bring them down and they show them all this and that. You got to look at a lot of our black high school players. They had never seen that type of environment. So they paint a picture for them. At Jackson State, Deion, knowing Deion and his character, he didn't paint a picture for him and sold him a dream. He was real with him. And that guy seen that he was real with him, made that choice, because the recruitment process from college, from high school to college football, it is a very, very money-making decision. And they make that, like, for the kids. They sell them that dream. And like you said, a lot of them never even see the field.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about them playing. It's about them being the competition. He would never seen the field that much if he would have choose another school. But they know he's going to cut down on they winning. He's their competition now. So the best way to beat your enemy is to buy him out, is to get him. So and that's why they upset, because they might not even had plans to play him that much his freshman year. Yeah. So, but they know they have to compete with him on the field now.
Exactly. And I want to play a clip before we talk some more. I want to play the clip of this sportscaster, Doug Gottlieb. He has a history of saying some questionable things on black folks. So let me play a clip real fast. Oh.
Jackson State. And I pointed out that Twitter championing what's an obvious mistake is hilarious. And so when you start to talk about HBCUs, HBCU guy is like CrossFit guy, right? Like, you don't understand the benefits of CrossFit. Like, okay. You don't understand the benefits of an HBCU. Like, okay. Look, let me break it down for you really quickly. There's something called the Yeshiva Academy. There's Yeshiva University. Yeshiva is a Jewish school. It's in New York City. They're actually really good at Division III basketball. They're excellent. And if my son is so blessed to have a Division I scholarship offer from like Kansas and Duke and Oklahoma State and Kentucky, you know, right? Like my alma mater and 3 other alma maters, like it would be great. You know, I would not send him to the Yeshiva Academy. Right? And it doesn't make me any less Jewish. And it doesn't make him any, you know, does it mean that he's not down for the movement or whatever? It doesn't mean the Yeshiva Academy is not a great place. It's just, if you want to be a big time athlete, you're going to have to go somewhere they actually have a chance to compete, and they're supported financially. They're supported with facilities, with doctors, with overall coaching staff, and level of competition as well as level of promotion. And oh yeah, by the way, when you get done playing, like if you're a former Duke basketball player, take a look at all the successes those guys. Duke is the perfect example, right? They talk there about a 50-year decision. It's a 50-year decision. The commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, is a Dookie. The commentators you'll see on TV from Jay Billis and Jay Williams, etc., Dookies, coaches, okay? Quinn Snyder in the NBA, Mike Krzyzewski, Mike Bray. You kind of go through it. John Shire's taking over. Johnny Dawkins, Dookies. Right? It's a whole thing. They take care of their own. And the bigger the alumni base, the more financially well supported they are. Like, it's a mistake to choose Jackson State unless, like, your mom, your dad, everybody went there and, like, that's been your school the whole. That's not the way this went down. He was going to Florida State, and Deion Sanders, got Barstool to throw in a bunch of money as an FU to a school who he played for, who he wanted to have the job. And Deion probably leaves at the end of this year and takes the kid with him. And this whole narrative about being about the HBCU, like, you're buying into the biggest load of crap I've ever heard in my life. So I love when you're like, well, you're just disrespectful to the HBCU. It's like, no, I'm not. You are. If it's so great, raise money, build new facilities, and have them compete at the highest level. And then kids don't have to make the decision, do I want to compete at the SWAC level or do I want to compete in the SEC or the ACC? Like, I'm not the one who made that decision. I pointed this out last week. Oklahoma State had a terrible football program because it did not have the financial support it needed. And one guy, Boone Pickens, generated one, he gave a bunch of money, and two, he got everybody else to give a bunch of money. And that's how they got it at the same starting block as everybody else. They weren't even they weren't even playing the same sport as Texas and Oklahoma. That's where the SWAC is. And if you want to sit there and make me the bad guy, like I'm telling you, I never said there's anything wrong with the level of education. Okay? But you can't compare the resources that Georgia has, the overall level of talent that they have, the quality of competition, the promotion they have, the support you have. And oh yeah, by the way, like, look, why do SWAC teams struggle to maintain their APR ranking? Do you know what the APR is? The APR is how many people are making the correct academic progress report, academic progress review. Why? Because they don't have the same level of academic support as the big boys do. So kids slip through the cracks and they don't graduate. They don't keep their grades up. And this causes them to not be able to play in the NCAA tournament. Like, you don't know anything. You're just simply defensive because it might be your school or something you think that I'm anti. And I don't care. I actually care about young men so that they make lives for themselves, whether they succeed in football or not. You don't. You, and I'm mentioning all of you idiots, and there's a lot of them, you simply want to call people names like you're a racist because I'm saying it's smarter to go to a Georgia or Florida State or a Texas A&M than go to a Jackson State. When actually caring about the human being is kind of the opposite of being a
Yeah, enough of that. Okay. That's a lot to break down right there. But my biggest takeaway from Doug spilling that bullshit is he's talking about the quality of this, the quality of that. And do he not know HBCUs produce some of the majority of like most of the black people in the workforce now? Engineers and all type of things. Like it's crazy. I can have you on me.
Yes, you have us muted.
Okay, go ahead. What you was about to say?
Well, first of all, let me say this unequivocally. Fuck Gottlieb and his dookies. He can shove them up his ASS. That's what he can do. What you need to realize is that HBCUs were born because you didn't want us at those Big Ten schools. I attended the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, which was previously the University of Arkansas A.M.N., Agricultural, Mechanical, and Natural college because they didn't want us at Euler, at University of Arkansas Little Rock. They didn't want us at University of Arkansas Monticello. They didn't want us at the University of Arkansas Conway. And while he's talking, New Orleans has Terrence Armstead, who came from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. You're talking about our schools, but it's your fault, your ancestors' fault, that we don't have the resources. And I know where he's getting it from because Master P's son, Perry Miller, got hurt, and Master P slammed the school because he said they didn't have the resources. You are Master P. You got millions of dollars. Why don't you help us out instead of talking about us? And this is the part I hate. We talk about the systems in place, the critical race theory. This is how those systems remain in place. You get people like us, progressive, like-minded, that get in the system, and instead of changing the system changes them. Master P, if you didn't feel they had the resources, help them out. Why wouldn't you lend your name to do a fundraiser? Why wouldn't you just give it to them? But no, instead you'll publicly slam them and then pull your little child and run. Do that. Because we were here as HBCUs before you sent your little boy, and we'll be here when you're gone. HBCUs turn out 75% of your Black doctors, lawyers, PhDs, and other professionals. Gottlieb can suck it.
The good take. And what you think?
Well, we are talking about an athlete, and we are talking about the school that he chose to go to. With him saying that, we got to realize some of the best, greatest, all-time greatest football players, Walter Payton, Valley State. So all that is whitewash. What he said, everything he said was fucking whitewash, period. And when I say it was whitewash, he called everybody that didn't agree with him ignorant. He knows. He had he did everything to talk about Jackson State in a manner, saying bad things without actually saying them. Whitewash. Yeah. Everything he said was whitewash. He apparently don't know our history. So that's where a lot of the whitewash come in at. They don't think that we can educate ourselves. They don't think, and all this goes back to slavery days. We look out for each other. He said that. Why we as Black can't look out for each other? And that's exactly what that young man did. So he wanted to put down and say Deion going to run to Florida. He don't know Deion plans. So everything that he's doing, he's trying to use systematic brainwashing. This one decision that young man made have changed a lot. And it's going to be more to follow. It's going to be more to follow. Because as she spoke, Kaepernick, there's the NFL and these athletes, these Black athletes are changing. Look at the difference between LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Times is changing.
And that's a great point. And that's what I want to talk about too. Like we're living in a time where the kids that's coming up now, they have lived through what happened in 2014 and 13 and all the way to now with the rise and the Mike Brown, the George Zimmermans, and all these kids was in middle school and junior high when all of this was going up. They've been seeing what's going on. They've been listening. They've been hearing the people older than them talk about these different things. Their whole mindset is different now, and it's the perfect storm now because now they can make money on their likeness now. They not tied to having to go to PWI now. Now they can make money on their likeness now. So they don't have those same restrictions anymore. And then the combination of Deion Sanders bringing that pride back into HBCUs without saying that, hey, do it for the. He's not saying it. He's just doing it with his action. But we all understand the reason why he's trying to get the kids to come back to HBCUs is about bringing money back to ourselves and doing it for self without saying it, in so many words. I don't know if he can or he can't, but he's not just out there saying, hey, this is a revolution. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring money back into HBCUs and be for self-determination. But that's ultimately what he's doing. And I think the people like Doug Gottlieb and other people in the media, they know this. They understand. They know the history. They don't want to go back to those days where all the great talent was at the HBCUs, like when the Jerry Rice and the Walter Paytons and Michael Strahans and all these different players went to HBCUs. The Hall of Fame of football is full with people that went to HBCUs. What happened was in the late 90s and then not late 90s, early 90s, in the 80s, late 80s, it came norm that these kids, they start saying, okay, the white folks are welcoming us now. Let's go to these. It was the unknown. They was like, why not now? Why not? So it just became a trend in those days. Now we've been seeing it. The experiment is over with. Now our generation, not my generation, but the younger generation want to say, hey, we know what those white schools are about. We want to go back to our own now. We know ourselves, the music, the everything. I think it was an example of when the George Floyd situation happened. All these white colleges, the students was like, what are we going to do in Baton Rouge? Like at LSU. The coaches didn't even want to do nothing. They had to make him do something. Because the students wanted to do something, the football players, but they couldn't relate. And these kids are smart. They know these old white men can't relate to them. So the change is happening right now.
And that goes back. You said they're listening, they're hearing. Not only that, they're involved. That they have feelings involved. I have a 9 and a 10-year-old that you have this social media. They watch the news. That the kids are smart. They're more exposed to what's going on around the world, in their own culture, and they seeking that knowledge, and they asking the question on where do I fit in this struggle, because they're becoming more aware of the struggle that Blacks have, and they're trying to find out what can I do to fit in with this struggle or not be isolated from our people.
And you got to look at it. It's an entire paradigm shift. I'm going to give you an example. Last Saturday, I went to a trampoline park, and a Caucasian lady got upset with my son because she called her grandson out for calling him the N-word. The woman grabbed my son by his wrist, hurting him, and dragged him to me, and expected that she was going to tell this negress how to raise her child.
Wow.
Now, you have to understand something. In the late 80s, early 90s, our ancestors or parents or grandparents at that time, we were still, they were still remnants of the generation that had 2 pictures in their house. One of John F. Kennedy, the other was MLK. They believe in the white savior. And so they would have told our children, go to this school, go to that school. And my ex-husband's father called HBCUs plantations, bean plantations, or something like that, and chastised my ex-husband for going to one. He later went to a PWI. He didn't cut it there either. So there's that. You have to look at the shift. After this woman pulled that, she figured out that I am not my mother. I'm not my grandfather. We have to make the conscientious effort. One of the first academic publications that I have discusses the players it was a college in Missouri. And it was, I want to say, it was before George Floyd, but it was after something else had happened that was a racial injustice. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. what was going on at the school, there was racial injustice. The football team refused to play. That game they refused to play was $1 million moneymaker. These players told the administration, with the coach on their side, if you don't make these changes, we don't play. They knew their value. They knew their worth. They knew what they brought to that school, and they got what they wanted. And eventually that it was a chancellor, or the individual that was, the lead person at the school, resigned because he had allowed for these racial injustices to consistently occur on the campus. This is what we have to do. See, they're looking at Deion as the uppity Negro, and they want to shut him down. That lady looked at me as an uppity Negress, and she thought she could come over there and shut me down. She effed around and found out. And that's all I'm going to say there, because when I found out she put her hands on my child, a few folks caught hands after that. But
and I felt like, and this is not just Doug, this is how a lot of people feel like Doug Gottlieb. I think he just saying what a lot of white people want to say, but not saying it, and they're mad. It's a power shift. They feel like they losing a grip on the power, the money. They never saw this coming. That's why it's all in the media now. It caught them off guard. They can't find a top player not coming to their pristine university like an Alabama or Georgia or Florida State, and it's a power shift now, and they don't know what the hell to do. They siren all the alarms now. Like, do we need to throw all the money at Deion now, or what to do? But it is a power shift, and make it so bad. You have other coaches now. You have Dabo Swinney, or whatever his damn name, talking about he worried about the education of the kid, and you know what? I got a clip from Dabo. Let me just play this. Somebody else reading his quote. Hold on. Let me play this.
Mental health is one of the biggest issues in college. There's a lot of kids whose identity is wrapped up in football, and all this does is further that. It's crazy. It's really sad, to be honest with you. There's right around 2,000 kids in the portal, and most of them don't have anywhere to go. There's so much tampering going on and so many adults manipulating young people. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the famous words from Dabo Swinney. Here's my biggest question, and I have a lot of stuff to say about that, so you might want to get you a snack. We're about to rant and rave. I'm going to start with this. Why are you lying? Yeah, that's right. I'm talking to you, Dabo Swinney. Why are you lying and acting like you care if these kids graduate or not? I'm going to ask you guys a real question. Be honest. Do you really think at the end of the day he's losing sleep over kids not graduating? I don't think so. I could be wrong, and he could be staying up all hours of the night calling his kids, making sure they're doing their math and English classes. But come on now, we know that's not happening. Dabo does not care about these kids graduating. The only reason he's crying about all this is because he's not getting his way at Clemson anymore like he was 4 to 5 years ago. You know why he's crying about this transfer portal? Because none of these top recruits are going to Clemson. They're picking other schools. Hold on. I found a tweet.
So overall, he's butt hurt because Clemson was one of the schools that the young man was potentially that he could have went to. So a lot of these coaches are butt hurt. They are butt hurt, and they feel like this may. A lot of people say this just one off, that a lot of other kids won't do this, but I feel like it's a possibility that it could start a trend. Now I don't know. They're gonna start trying to go to other HBCUs. You got Eddie George at Tennessee State, I believe. So
hold up. HBCU attendance was increasing before this even happened. So it isn't based on this. And for him to say we don't have facilities, I know for a fact that the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff has an amazing arena. They're steadily building new dorms, got a new STEM center, new buildings all over campus. I go to my campus, I can't find my way around because there's so many new glamorous buildings, new programs. We are working to put more of us into these STEM opportunities. Jay-Z and Beyonce just gave to some HBCUs. Samuel and LaTanya Jackson just gave to Howard. There were anonymous donors of 2.5 million to about 5 or 6 different HBCUs. So we are doing fine. We have no more issues than other colleges, and there's a lot more of them than there are of us. To say that our education is substandard is absolute bullshit. I have a doctorate's degree. Only 3% of America has one, and less than 2% of that 3% looks like us. I came from an HBCU. My master's and my doctorate are from PWIs. I had a high GPA at both schools. I score well on standardized testing. And when I need to clean up the language, it cleans rather well.
Yeah, and that sounds like the narrative they keep trying to push, that is the education part, the competition part, and I don't even buy the competition part. If this young man is doing it for a greater reason, and more people, if more of the top black players go to HBCU, the competition will work itself out in the end as more and more of the athletes go to HBCUs across the country. So it'll work itself out. That's what they don't want, exactly.
Dabo and Gottlieb need to shut it up. You just got out hustled. Deion out recruited you.
Yeah.
Take that L gracefully.
What you about to say it?
I just attended Perry Review graduation. I had a nephew graduate Perry Review Saturday. Curran first cousin, Kentu first cousin. What I noticed during that graduation is there is a lot more support for our youth, black youth, that's going to college. I feel that is very important. That me, myself, I don't have a college education. I choose military, but I've done fairly well for myself without a college education. I would say I probably done better than a lot with college education. So, but it still didn't take away on the growing support I see for our young black men to obtain a college degree, get educated. And once you get that education, something that the doctor said, don't do like Master P. Reach back into the community and let the young black men know you can get educated at a historical black college and still, because all those coaches that's talking never attended a historic black college. So they don't know. You're not only getting educated in your books, you also get educated in culture because you have kids from everywhere. So you get education about what's going on, because all of them the same age, about what's going on in Chicago with people my age, with young black men my age. So you get a feel for education on what's going on in the United States as a young black man. While you attend an HB, you can't get that at a white college, period.
And that's what they're not mentioning. It's that one unique trait that these PWIs know they can't relate. They would never be able to relate. They can't.
We family. HBCUs, we family. And I'm going to tell you, We have a group on Facebook. We in this group, we be ripping each other. We be dogging each other. You lose a football game, it is your week to get drove. But let somebody from Purdue come and talk about and one of us. We will all jump on you. And I've seen it happen. Me and one of my frat brothers went to FAMU, I went to UAPB, and the Purdue boy gonna pull that. Your schools aren't as good as mine, baby. We lit this joker up. Sure did.
And I can speak from going to a PWI school. I went to the University of Mississippi. I went to Ole Miss. Graduated from Ole Miss. My whole time, I never felt like I belonged to that school. I never felt like that. I just went there I don't know. I just went there. I like, let me go somewhere different. And I went there, got my degree. I never felt a belonging there because I couldn't relate to the people there. It was mostly white. Now I was tight with the few black people that was there. I was close to them, still friends with a lot of them. But I never could relate to the culture itself. Oh, technically different. I'm flipping upside down. But I could never relate to the people there, to the school, the institution at the University of Mississippi at all. I related more when I was at Ole Miss to Jackson State because I went to Jackson. I went visit the campus even early on when I went to my first 2 years at JUCO at Hines Community College. I used to always be on the campus of Jackson State. I related more to being there than where I graduated from. So I definitely get the connection why they would pick them because I experienced both. I graduated from Ole Miss, but I was always on Jackson State campus all the time because I had an older cousin that went to Jackson State, and I used to be at Jackson State all the time. So it's that connection that it was different. I was like, oh my God, like when at Jackson State, I was like, man, it was like family. Like when you were there, it's like family. Then I'm going to Ole Miss.
It really is.
Yeah,
and
like you can't at Ole Miss, you can't go to these white parties and feel like they doing shit you don't even relate to, first of all. So yeah, like it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same.
No, and see, I went to college early. I went to college at 17. I don't know that I would have made it at a predominantly white institution. It was the black teachers that took to me and kept me going. It was a black teacher that when I began to teach, told me how to navigate the waters from UAPB. I've been out of UAPB, 20-something, 25 years? Well, I was out about 22 years. I decided to earn my doctorate. It was a professor at UAPB that still did my recommendation to get me into the doctorate's program. 20-something years later, we still helping each other. One of the greatest books I own was given to me by the chancellor at UAPB. I used to just go sit in his office and talk because he was struggling because, get this, when UAPB began to make money, then the University of Arkansas wanted to rein it in. He had to balance that, trying to keep them off him, but still participate as he was supposed to as a member of the University of Arkansas system. So I got sick in 2018. UAPB here in Dallas, calling, checking on me, making sure I have everything I need. We have get-togethers. UAPB comes to Dallas, we all get together. We go to homecoming, and homecoming is fly.
Yep.
So, and I just had that conversation with my son the other night. Why are you going to a HBCU if I got to pay for it? I want you to have a higher chance at a success rate. Teachers that don't see you as an athlete or a number. Teachers that care. Teachers that will pick up a phone and call Dr. Grace, your son up here doing the food. That's what I want. And then you go back to homecoming.
Yep.
You pull another one person through. The relationship we have, the friendship, the camaraderie, the support is incomparable to what I see at any PWI.
And that's facts. And I guess before we go, any final words? Hey, Tommy, start with you before we get off this thing tonight. What final words you want to say regarding the situation? I think this was a good dialogue, man. Y'all brought some good insight. I love it. What you have to say?
It was when you and when I come in on that, and and ask me will I join, that's where I jump right on the opportunity, because I feel that this particular incident might not be broadcast to the Black community, but the way that they're acting behind one single athlete, one athlete. This is one year coming from high school. We're not talking about he's getting recruited to an NFL team. You're talking about he choose to go to Jackson State University and making this much ruckus. The ruckus that this is making should enlighten people on the small things that may seem small to you are big to them, because it's not the big things that gain control, it's the small things that they use to control. So this should show that if they're acting a nut behind this, imagine how they'll be acting if a lot of kids choose to say, hey, I'm not going to play for this NFL team when they try to draft me because I don't like their view on racial injustice. That give them the power to say, if you don't do this to my liking, I don't have to play for you. NFL, college, or whatever. So that's what the big ruckus is about. They're learning that they actually saw a display that the athlete beginning to use. If you want me to play for you, you're going to just pay me more than a paycheck. You're going to bow to my will. And if I don't agree with something, if you want me to play for you and make you money, you're going to have to pay me more than in money now. And they don't like that.
They don't like it. They don't like, and this is all about the youth being educated. They've been we gotta understand the stuff we doing in the community, the stuff we doing in the streets are having an effect on these kids. This just, it's not sporadic. This is a combination of work from the grassroots movements, instilling this in the youth that's coming up now. So this should be a testimony to the work we're doing. We all doing in the community every day. The little kids we giving shirts to and jackets and free food. Those are the same kids that's eventually growing up and going to college and seeing the things that happen. I remember, like, man, I remember that group. They did this. They told us about this. Now those seeds are starting to sprout now. So we gotta pay attention to that. And Dr. Grayson, final word. What you want to say?
I agree with Haywire. The difference is social media. We see it now much more easier globally. And they are acting upon it. If you look at what's going on recently, particularly with employees and employers, the employees have now realized their value. You have people that are not going to work until you pay them what they want to be paid. These players have every right and they need to do the same thing. They're the money makers. So get out there and make the money on your terms, because you can do that because you're the one with the talent. They're just mad. And like you said, it's a paradigm shift. We are now potentially undermining a system that has benefited them for so many years. And what they're going to do is make an example of the first one. And I'm very thankful for you, Kintu. This is what we need. Outlets, resources that tell our narrative, because they're going to try to change Deion's narrative.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try to damage his narrative, his legacy, and the work he's done. One thing I do have to share is I have one concern. Like I said, we have these systems. We get people inside of them with the intent of them changing the system, not the system changing them. I do hope that Deion sticks with it. You cannot leave Jackson State, at least not for a few years. We need for him to be the pioneer, the catalyst, the example. Others will come. We need for it to be done in basketball. We need now some new folks to recruit and pull from the Dukies, Purdue, and those places. Again, recognizing when you come to an HBCU, you have come home.
Yeah, I got one more thing to add.
Yeah, go ahead.
About Deion himself. Deion is in a place. Deion played in the NFL. He was always himself, flashy. You know, that was a persona he had. Neon Deion. You know.
Must be the money.
But him as a person, Deion come from the street. Deion had a speaker box. And I don't know if you heard the story, but you know, me and Kentu is from Mississippi. Deion had a speaker box in his truck, in his truck, new Escalade. They stole Deion's speaker box. Deion went on the local news. Hey, that truck, I don't care nothing about that truck. Someone gave me that box. That speaker box mean a lot to me. This, you know, a black man speaking about Deion Sanders speaking about the value that a speaker box had to him because someone gave that to him. He addressed the city of Jackson, the public. He said, "Hey, streets, I don't care about that truck. Bring my box back to me." He talked to them in a way that he knew how to talk to them and showed them that he understands. He can relate to them. He can relate to Jackson State. He can relate to Jackson, Mississippi. That speaker box showed back up on Jackson State campus. So that also, Deion is good for Jackson State because he can bridge the gap. I done played in the NFL team. Don't let no one tell you that Jackson State and Jackson, Mississippi is not a worthy place to be. I'm here. So you have to look at Deion as a person. So and this goes back to what you were saying, Dr. Grayson. They want to tarnish him, but they're not going to be able to do that without tarnish Jackson, Mississippi, and Jackson State. And that's where they're going to run into a lot of issues at because everybody needs someone to talk about them. They're just giving Jackson State more recognition, more recognition for some of these other black athletes and to look at Jackson State or even look at saying, I need to put money into some these other black athlete NFL players. I need to invest some of my money into these black colleges. So because all the black NFL players and athletes, they're not happy with what's going on. So some of them not going to get involved, but all of them is not going to happen. I bet you LeBron James is going to start looking at putting money into historical black colleges because that's what that did. That opened a lot of people's eyes up as well.
Yep, with them showing their asses, it's showing the kids that's sophomores and freshmen are like, oh, that's how these white folks feel, huh? Okay. We gonna do something a little differently then. We gonna start going to the HBCUs to really piss them off. You know how young folks, they gonna really try to make them mad now. But we gonna go, guys. We pretty much, I didn't think we'll do about an hour. We did 50 minutes tonight. But I want to thank y'all for coming on, Dr. Grayson and my Uncle Tom. Thank you for coming on tonight. Before we get off, hey, if you're watching on Facebook, go to the YouTube channel, Black Empowerment Movement. Go to the YouTube channel. Go there, subscribe, like, share a video, help us grow the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, do the same thing. Subscribe, like, share. And I just want to thank you guys for watching. Hey, we out of here. As always, all power to the people. We out.
All right, thank you.